I'm overwhelmed with how much fun this is going to be to watch as a fan. Not having a personal stake at any of them, just watching great basketball. John Shire has defied the old cliche that you can't replace the legend. Of course, Coach K is branded forever as one of the greats of all time in any sport, in any level. And for John to be able to come in and seamlessly, it just speaks to what a great job Coach K did in preparing him.
Welcome to another Coaching You podcast with the coach Brendan Suhr, presented by Noah Basketball. Today's one of my favorite episodes of the year because we get to visit with an absolute expert on the men's and women's side, Debbie Antonelli, the voice of ESPN, the WNBA, Indiana Fever. But more importantly, she knows more damn basketball than I do. Debbie and I have been dear friends for years. She loves the game. She's called the NCAA Tournament on the men's side for 9 years. This year, she's exclusively on the women's side for ESPN. Then after the season, she'll do WNBA, where she's Caitlin Clark's and the Indiana Fever's broadcaster. She could coach in any league. She could run any league. She's one of the most knowledgeable, brilliant business people I know and loves the game of basketball. Not women, not men, basketball. But I think you're really going to enjoy. We're going to cover men's and women's tournament in the first round. She's going to talk a little about regionals. We're going to talk about coaching. And maybe at the end, my favorite part is we're going to talk about Debbie's incredible fundraiser that she does called Nothing But Net. So after this quick timeout, I want you to come back and listen to Debbie. But more importantly, I want to remind all of our coaches that are here, we're in the middle of March Madness, but that's also one of the best times of the year to get our Coaching You Plus app, because now you get 20% off on a monthly or an annual subscription. 20% off. You can't do it. Beat it right now. Make sure you go to the show notes, sign up, get to take advantage of this. This is one of the best offers you're going to get all year, and this is when coaching really starts learning. Your season's over. Your learning season begins. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. Noah Basketball is our new presenting sponsor of our Coaching You podcast. Noah Basketball is a shot tracking and data company that has helped change how coaches and players perfect the game's most important skill, shooting. Noah is a data service provider that uses machine learning and the latest computer vision technology to provide real-time data and feedback to improve shooting accuracy and consistency for professional and amateur basketball players. Noah has now analyzed over 570 million shots from countless high school, hundreds of college teams, and 28 NBA franchises. The technology is simply amazing. Once the system has been installed, players will be able to get immediate feedback on their shooting arc, left and right positioning, depth, makes or misses, and makes the data available to players and coaches on your mobile device. For more information about how Noah can help your team, visit noahbasketball.com. Here with Debbie Antonelli, my dear, dear friend, one of the great friends in basketball, someone that has just amazing ability to learn. And I often tease you, Deb, that you should be a coach, you should be a broadcaster, you should be running the business of basketball on both men's and women's side. You have so damn much talent, but I miss seeing you on the men's side last weekend in rounds 1 and 2. Happy that you're doing ESPN Women and all that, but if it was up to me as the unofficial commissioner of college basketball, I'd put your little fanny on both the men's games, and then the next day I'd ship you to a women's site so that I'd get my fix on Debbie for two sessions both weekends. So miss you, but happy for you.
Brendan, thank you so much. You know I love you. Thank you for your kind words. 9 years for CBS on the men's tournament, premier part of my schedule. And I'm not going to lie, I missed it.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed that I couldn't continue with CBS, but ESPN needed me on the women's side, and I spent my whole career trying to advance the women's game. So it's bittersweet, but CBS was very understanding, and ESPN has allowed me to have this platform through the regionals, and I'm very excited about it. So thank you for your nice comments. I'm not going to say I didn't miss the men. I certainly did, and working for CBS was a premier part of my schedule for 9 years. And now we're just going to keep working on ratings and advancing the women's game and doing the best I can to serve this great game that I love and the people and the coaches and the players inside it.
I felt like in watching both the men and the women, and I like actually the way it's done so that, you don't have it all at the exact same time. But I really feel that I was watching a somewhat of a professional basketball tournament on the men and women's side, where the very best, the players that were the professional players, the professional teams, the
Hmm.
power teams, the power fours on each side. And I include with that the Big East because they're a power conference
Hmm.
revenue wise. That I think that's what we've come to. And I love mid majors. I love what that's all about. I love the experience of student athletes playing and participating. But man, the jump between it's really been echoed with the now when we go to regionals, who's still left?
Yeah, well, on the women's side, this is my first time back in the first and second round in 10 years, and
Wow.
not much has changed. The power teams are still there. Last time we had a mid major in the Final Four, I believe, was Jackie Stiles in 2001. And
Wow.
we just don't have the kind of upsets or the Cinderella kind of experience that the men have. They have much more competitive games, 1 to 16, 2 and 15, 3 and 14. We just don't have that. And I don't know if we're ever going to have it, to be quite honest with you, because the scale on the women's side is not quite what it is on the men's side, but the rich get richer, and it's always been that way. And when you have money, you can buy players. And when you can buy players, you can build a roster very quickly. And that is happening in the power leagues. The resources there are just better, and therefore they're going to have better teams and better players.
And we know revenue drives college sports and TV. That's TV. And and so it's really interesting now that the teams that get the most media money, the Power Four
Hmm.
conferences are the ones that have the best teams. And the women don't even get hardly any of that revenue from that the men's
Right.
football and basketball television wise, they're the ones that are generating that money. Women are going to slowly creep in with the new television contract from ESPN. But I'm looking at the regionals now. I'm not a fan, as I've told you many times. I'm a fan of the women's game, as you know, but I'm not a fan of the regional setups, the way they do it, putting 8 teams at 2 sites, Fort Worth and Sacramento, 2 great places and stuff. But I just love that if we're gonna put a lot of teams together, let's put them in Las Vegas. That's my thing. I mean, because I saw what it did for the
Yeah,
NBA Summer League. My
sure.
god, and I see what it's done for the conference tournaments on the West Coast. People wanna go. They wanna gravitate there. It's an easier sell, and we have enough venues there to do something, but when we have UConn and North Carolina, Notre Dame and Vandy as one of the regionals in Fort Worth, what do you see there of those teams? Really
Well,
good
before
teams, really good
Be
teams.
Yeah, I mean, really good teams. And before we break it down, I want to just follow up on a couple of things that you said, Brendan.
Okay.
One is, the women are getting units now. We'll see. This could be an inflection point. Does this change the distribution of wealth in terms of roster building and construction? That we'll find out. It's going to take some time because it's not the amount of money that a unit is worth on the men's side, but it's a step,
Yep.
many think, in the right direction. As far as the structure and makeup of the tournament, we don't even have 68 really good teams. Expansion's not really an option on the women's side. I don't believe we even have that conversation. But if the men go, the women will probably have to. Um, the first and second round games on home sites are really important for the women's game because we have a built-in fan structure.
Yep.
I do think we're in a cycle right now on the women's side where we're going to 2 places, 2 regionals that I don't know what the bidding process was, but when these regionals were assigned, this was before what I call Clarkonomics and the explosion in our game. So we may have been locked into certain places, not having the opportunity to creatively create the inventory that I always think that we have and that we should have in the women's game. Of course, I'm not in charge. So anything I say or any solution that I provide without complaining, providing solutions for think tank kind of ideas, I
Sure.
think are step, for discussion. You know how I feel about Vegas. Would be year 18. 18 years talking about the Sweet 16 to Vegas. And when I started talking about it, as you know, it was before Summer League, before the
Yep.
before the Major League Baseball, before the NFL, before hockey. We weren't even allowed to have NCAA championships in Vegas when I first began talking about one regional. So I've been down that path for a long time. And, we settled on two. I still think two regionals create some issue for fans. And if we're building this around ratings and fans, we really should consider the fan in terms of where we take our product. So, having said that, I hope I don't get fired. You better not have gotten me fired for all
No,
that
you
I
got a
just
hell of a contract. You got a good agent. You're fine. You're
solutions.
fine.
It's solutions
You come
based
work for
thinking is
Coaching
what it
You.
is.
If not, don't worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But are you kidding me? Everybody listens to Coaching You. Everybody knows this is the place to go to learn, which is why you and I are friends. I've learned a
Right.
lot from you. The first part of the regional with the women, of course, UConn's bracket is always the death sentence. Anyone who gets sent there is going to lose. It's the end of your season. You're not going to beat them. You're not going to beat them in stores, and you're not going to beat them in the regional. We've had 44 NCAA women's championships, and he's played in 33 Sweet 16s. So nobody's played in that many except for Pat. And it's their numbers are more ridiculous than another, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They are so good. I call UConn the metronome this year is my word for them. It's like pass, cut, space, pass, dribble with a purpose. Like it's so good. It's execution and discipline for 40 minutes. The fitness that comes with the way they play, the tempo that they play. And I say they're a metronome, Brendan, and it's not robotic because
Yes.
they read the game, they read the second level. All 5 players on the floor do that. So it's fun to watch. It's not highly competitive, and I hope it'll get better when they get to the Final Four.
As a disclaimer, many head coaches on the women's side are very good friends. Gino is one. And the thing I love about Gino is that he's the same guy that he was as his assistant high school coach on the boys' side to the time he got to be an assistant coach at Virginia. I mean, this guy is all about learning. And if you ever, the thing I love about him is he's tough and he teaches, and you get better when you play for him. And that's what I love.
Yes.
And he's hard. As he always says, quoting, I'm really hard on my guys. And I said, Gina, you're coaching young women. No, these are my guys. They're unbelievable. And he says it so respectfully. And I think that's the key. He coaches them. They get better. He's demanding, but not demeaning. And that's such an incredible point. And so I love that about him.
I agree with you. I get people that ask me about him all the time. Now, the way the schedule plays out, I only see him at the Final Four anymore.
Yep.
But to open up his gym to anyone to come at any time. I don't know why more young coaches aren't jumping all over that. Like you're not going to find some big secret. What you're going to find is incredible preparation and repetition and excellence. If you're looking for that in your own program, why would you not look at Gino? He is a perfect example of all those things, and he's done it for a long time at a very high level. And it's not cruise control like you like to say, but it sure does look like it.
Debbie, a quick Coaching You story about Gino. One of my bucket list things, because I always try to get the best coaches in the world. Can I ever get them to come? So he agreed to come to Vegas years ago during the summer league, and we had it at UNLV, their practice facility. And he comes in there. We had 250 coaches, and you know our setup, 112 VIP people sitting around the court. And I look over in the front row of our VIPs, 10 of the 12 Pac-12 head coaches are there.
Mhm.
from Tara Vanderveer on down.
Yeah.
And that to me was first a compliment to them that they
Mhm.
wanted to learn how to beat his ass, number one, and to see what he's doing. And
Yeah.
you know what he did? He went out there and he gave them an hour worth of everything he had. No,
Mhm.
some guys when they come and do a clinic that I see at different events, they hold back. They think they've invented SpaceX or NASA secrets. You know, the great thing about the NBA coaches that we
Yeah.
had that share, they give you everything they have. They know there's no secret. It's about players. And Gino did the same thing. And that was really a testament to his professionalism, but also to the people there to learn from him. And you're right. Who would not want to learn from the best coaches in the world? And
Yeah.
he's one. So I applaud him for that.
The one thing about the women's game that I worry about sometimes is people get caught up in thinking that our game hasn't progressed because UConn continues to dominate. And South Carolina and Dawn Staley have made lots of waves. Corey Close, UCLA, is going to have a great
Amazing.
opportunity, right? Vic Schaefer continues at the second
Amazing.
school, right? We've got, and the stories go on and on. What we need to do a better job of on our side is telling the stories of others, not just worrying about social media clicks and trying to pump up our own social media around UConn. And I mean that, and I
Yeah.
don't speak on behalf of ESPN. I'm just saying if if it was me, I would take $1 million of that rights fee at the NCAA and give it back to ESPN to use our people, our platform, our storytelling, our production, our ability to share all these incredible stories about all these other players and programs and invest that way to build the tournament. And, one day when I'm in charge, Brendan, because I always say one day, who knows, uh, then that'll be something that I will seriously consider. I would consider giving $1 million back. This is not an idea I haven't shared in other places, but I'm serious. And if it had to be a 500,000 to Fox and a 500,000 to ESPN, you're going to have to give me, 50 stories back that I know that we have top level production, top level talent delivering some really good information to grow our game. That
So
way
I
we look like it's just, top heavy all the time.
Yeah, so I'm blessed to live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at a home of LSU, and I get to see one of the great programs and coaches in the world. Two of them actually, the great Kim Mulkey, Hall of Famer, and my other Hall of Famer, my dearest friend for years, Bob Starkey, who is the associate head coach. And when you go watch a practice there or watch them play a game, you just see how good the coaching is, but more importantly, you see the great players they have. And I
Mhm.
watch them from when they come in as freshmen, how they get better. Okay. And that's what coaching does, but that's also what a competitive program. I love what the SEC has done in that. And I know what Gino's trying to do is if you develop programs so that we have programs from Dawn and Kim to what Vic has done. Oklahoma's a powerhouse. What Shea Ralph has done at Vandy is incredible with
Mhm.
one of my favorite players in men's or women's college basketball. I love that. I love point guards, but that's my little Isaiah Thomas for the women's game. You know, and Ole Miss and right on down through we have just great teams in this league, and that's how you develop the sport, getting that buy-in
Yeah.
my opinion.
I would cater every rule to the teams that are on TV. Anything we do rule wise around the game should be the Power Four influence or Power Five on the game. I would look at the TV windows and think about what we're doing storytelling around the windows. When we have studio time and it's not the NCAA tournament, we need to be drilling down how good our game is. I know there's other places and platforms to tell stories, but our product is really good. And
Mhm.
I get criticized for being so product heavy. I've only in the women's game have I ever been asked to dumb it down, which I really will never do
No.
because I don't think that's fair to the coaches and the players. That's dismissing our game. And we have some really talented, like Coach Pitino could take his team and coach it, or he could take your team and coach it. We got a lot of coaches on the women's side that could do the same thing.
Exactly.
And so I think, you know, that's a good, evaluation, what you're talking about and how you're looking at what the SEC is building. Of course, Greg Sankey cares about the women's game. He
Yes, you
cares
do.
about every aspect of it. I know because I played golf with him in June. He came to Bulls Bay and played golf with me. I invited him and he came. How
How
about
about
that? I got Greg Sankey on the golf course for 4.5 hours. It's magic.
that's
Fun.
what that's a good meeting. That's what I call a business meeting.
It's a
Uh,
business meeting.
but that's the essence of sport, and that's how you go. But Greg Sankey, who I know also, he loves every sport. He loves our gymnastics. He loves baseball. He loves every Olympic sport. He loves our track and field program. He loves sports, and he loves the kids in the sport. But the things that make good sports are great coaching and great athletes, and then the opportunity to present them in the
Hmm.
best way possible. So I love that. Talk about what this young uh talk about Notre Dame and Vandy. Notre Dame making a
Yeah.
comeback after last year. How has that gone? And how with Neil's team and also Vandy, what Shea has done.
You know what, Brendan? It took me about beginning of February because I've watched Hannah Hidalgo for many years, and I've covered Notre Dame quite a bit for the ACC network or ESPN. And it hit me in February. Can Hannah Hidalgo do what Caitlin Clark did in taking a team deep into the NCAA tournament with one other pro on their team? Caitlin Clark had Kate Martin. She's in the WNBA. She's a pro. And Hannah Hidalgo has Cass Prosper, Canadian national team, probably play for Nell Fortner in the Olympics for Canada one day. Uh, can she do it? Can she do what Caitlin did? And if you watch the Ohio State game, Jelani Cambridge is a terrific guard, put 40 on the board, right? But Hannah Hidalgo is the greatest defensive player for her size that we've seen impact the game. It is force and impact on every play on both sides of the ball. And she has been remarkable. So that game, once again, is going to feature two incredible guards. You mentioned your Isaiah Thomas as Michaela Blakes, who has
Oof.
led the nation in scoring. Shea Ralph was an All-American player,
Yep.
has understood how to win championships. She won some at UConn as a player and a coach. She knows how to deal with greatness, and she's dealing with it with Michaela Blakes. This game it should be top billing. Hannah Hidalgo, Notre Dame, Michaela
Right.
Blakes, Andy. It's great. It's great for a game. That whole bracket is all about guards, and they've delivered. They've delivered. It's been great. I do think um, I think Vandy is on a collision course with UConn. I think the story there is, Shea Ralph going against her mentor and
That would be
teacher,
fun.
Gina Wariema. But I will say it is the death sentence. Whoever gets in that bracket again, I'm going to say it again. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah, they're so good, UConn.
A quick question about Hidalgo. I watched her yesterday. I guess it was yesterday or Sunday. They're all running together. And I said, she's so good, has been so good. Can she play in the W? And you're the expert on the W.
Yeah.
Size was
Yes.
bothering me, but she's so freaking good. I don't know.
She'll say she's 5'7". I think she's probably about a buck 20, 25, has the quickest hands and feet, and has led the nation in steals. And here's the thing, which you will respect as a big time coach and a teacher. On defense, Brendan, she never takes a negative step. She doesn't drop step when she's guarding you. She comes at you or she moves laterally, and she can, by herself, keep somebody on the top of the floor for 10 of the 30 seconds of the shot clock. Like, I've not seen another player that could do that. When we reference defense, we always think shot blocking,
Yes.
rebounding, steals, right? When you talk about impact and versatility on the defensive end, I came up this year with what I call Hannah rules. Okay, here are the
Uh-huh.
rules on a graphic. Every game, I have the same rules. Don't dribble the ball in front of her. Don't run any ball screen action with her in it. And once you get her to the weak side of the floor, keep her over there. Run some open side, naked side, two-man. Don't bring her back to the ball. And if you don't see her, she's coming. So you
I
got to,
love,
you just
I
have to
love,
have an awareness. She's fantastic. It's going to be incredible to watch what she can do, and can she? It
she's
will
really,
match up well with Vandy because it's not a big size difference there, and it's about shot making. Vanderbilt has tremendous shot making. Galvin, the point guard, Sasha Washington. I mean, it's going to be Pizzat on the perimeter. You know, Shea Ralph is. I think she's the coach of the year. I think her job at Vandy is
Been,
unprecedented. What she's
yeah.
been able to do. You got to go all the way back to Jim Foster in
Wow.
1993 when Vanderbilt made the Final Four, and that was a Final Four where Texas Tech, Ohio State, Iowa, and Vanderbilt were in that Final Four, and Katie Smith was a freshman and Cheryl Swoops was a senior.
Boy, that's history right there, girl. It's before I was born, you know that. Uh, she's the Muggsy Bogues of, you remember old Muggsy
She
for
is
the,
Muggsy.
she's like
Yeah.
Muggsy, where Isaiah Thomas, he'd say, tell Dumars to bring it up. I am not bringing it up against him because I can't get the ball up the court against Muggsy. That's how good, and she's that way. I love that
Yeah.
analogy. South Carolina, Oklahoma. Oklahoma did a great job this year. South Carolina, Dawn just lives in March and April. You know, I love her. You know,
Jenny Baranchek has a really good offensive team, and they're a top 10 defensive team, and they beat South Carolina at home earlier in the year.
yep.
It's a revenge game, right? And South Carolina, I think personally, I have enjoyed watching this South Carolina team more than any of the other ones that Dawn had,
Wow.
and I think it's because I love guard play so much, and Raven Johnson has improved every year. Dawn will call her straight up winner. And then getting Tanaya Latson, who led the nation in scoring last year from Florida State, out of the portal was a great pickup. And then Medina Okot, who is the 6'6" post player, who all of a sudden started shooting threes, looking good doing it too. I mean, we don't have many 6'6s in the women's game that can do that. And
Yeah.
she's got great hands, good footwork, and that is a really young, athletic, long. I've really enjoyed watching them because I think they're really good on the offensive end with their guard play.
The TCU program has made an amazing thing since they hired our coach from Sac State to come there. And now with an interesting transfer from Notre Dame has made that team really, and they were terrific last year, but really, again, a contender.
Mark Campbell has done a great job. They
He's
won the Big
amazing.
12 regular season. They lost to West Virginia in the conference championship. West Virginia, Mark Kellogg has done a heck of a job. He had a great year. They lost to Kentucky on last possession game. Mark Kellogg has done a terrific job in the portal. Last year was Haley Van Lith. This year it's Olivia Miles. And you got to have pieces around you to be able to get a triple double. It's one thing to be a bigger guard, rebound, go to the glass, get them in transition, but to have other shot makers around her. So I think they have had another great year. They won the Big 12. Virginia is a shocker to a lot of people. Now, I can tell you, this is going to be self-serving in some ways. I was at Virginia in October. They brought me up to do some media training and team building. And Coach Mox has done an excellent job with her group. I knew they were going to compete. I knew they would win. I didn't know they were going to win 3 games in the NCAA tournament, but I'm not surprised to see them get an opportunity to advance. When you have a guard like Kamora Johnson, who can do a little bit of everything, and this year, we were all talking about she needs less minutes. She needs, she doesn't need less minutes. She just needs to be more efficient in her minutes because they can't take her off the floor. And she has done that this year. So that's a really good job in the portal. Again, building it with the portal to give yourself a chance to compete right away. 5 teams from the ACC, 6 teams from the SEC are in the Sweet 16.
Wow. The Texas-Kentucky matchup, again, 2 teams from the SEC played during the regular season. Just 2 interesting, really good coaches. But one of my favorite players is Booker. She's just, Madison Booker is just incredible. I mean, she could play for the Texas men's team, and she's so freaking good. I mean, she can score. She wakes up making shots. I mean, she's amazing player, I think, And then Louisville, Michigan, another solid matchup between 2 good coaches, Kim and Jeff.
Yeah.
Nice regional, I think.
I think it's great. I mean, I think that we got some real competitive games here.
Yeah,
Louisville and Michigan. So I was in Ann Arbor for the first and second
right.
round. Michigan's got a really good core group of sophomores, but so does Jeff Walls at Louisville.
Yep.
I think Louisville's been a little bit under the radar all year. And I think in part because they have not had what I've called an alpha. They haven't had like one player that has dominated the game. They are so good. Their front line is versatile. Their guard package is excellent. They play defense, and they're going to go up against a Michigan team that is very similar, structured in a similar way. Not a lot of size up front, very versatile front line. But Michigan has an All-American. Third team on the AP is Olivia Olson, who had all of her points in the second half in the NC State game. Now, my alma mater was playing shorthanded. You know, Zoe Brooks went out with a foot injury in the Tennessee game, and that definitely hampered NC State. They really struggled taking care of the basketball, and a lot of that had to do with Michigan's run and jump in the backcourt. And if you're not used to playing against it,
Yeah.
Brendan, you know it's tough. And
Yeah.
nobody in the ACC except for Louisville run and jump in the backcourt. Maybe Duke will do it a little bit, but it's a good matchup. And then the Texas, I mean, you're right about Madison Booker. It's must see. One of the best mid-range. The best comparison I can give is the Tamika Catchings comparison
Ooh,
on the offensive end, because Tamika was late in developing her three, and Madison doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but Madison will kill you. They run a lot of that single double action on the baseline.
right.
She can read it. Roy Harmon is so good at the top of the floor,
Terrific.
connecting Booker. They've got good size, depth. Vic has done it. He knows how to do it. It's a compelling. It's more of a, if there was any chance for upsets, that's the bracket where there could be a chance for an upset. And we haven't even gotten to LSU yet, which I do
Well,
think the number 2 seed that does have an opportunity.
see, I think, and that's what I was going to say, the UCLA Minnesota game and then the Duke LSU. I think LSU and UCLA personally are the only teams that can match up to UConn a little bit. I'm not saying beat them, but I'm saying
Yeah.
physically, my opinion.
Well, LSU played Duke earlier in Cameron and won. Duke was figuring things out. That was during their slide. They figured it out. There were a couple things that went their way and changed things for them. And Carol Lawson has done a great job with the Duke program. They won the regular season in the ACC. They won the conference tournament championship, and they get a 3 seed, which I thought was a little bit underseeded for the strength of the league. But LSU, they lead the nation in scoring. Kim has the most versatile, largest guard package, and they play fast. And speed always neutralizes size. And I think that is going to be the issue for UCLA, is that they've got, if there was a 2 seed that had an opportunity to knock off a 1, this is the one that I'm keeping an eye on. And I'll be out there calling those games in Sacramento.
Good.
Sacramento has, with UCLA, 6 seniors or grad students. They have a sense of urgency. And quite frankly, Corey Close is so brilliant at putting things together. It's not going to be an easy challenge for LSU. If UCLA can get the game managed tempo-wise, where 6'7" Lauren Betts, the All-American, can be a factor. But if it's up and down, I think that could be trouble for UCLA and might neutralize Betts. So you got to make her a factor, because she is so good at 6'7" inside. She's an All-American for a reason. She's a great defender at the rim. They have the ability. The one thing about UCLA and UConn that I love is they both put pressure on the rim without having necessarily only back to the basket play. They cut and they space, and they do a lot of things that puts pressure on the rim, bringing 2 to the ball and their ball screen coverages and the ball screen offense. There's just a lot of ways that they can impact scoring in the paint.
You know, I think UCLA played Oklahoma in a regular season game in November in the Golden One Arena in Sacramento. So I think Corey had a little inkling to what was going to happen later in the year. So, you know, I think she's an interesting, it's going to be a great weekend out there. But I want to know more. You're an expert on the men's side. Okay, let's get to the men's stuff. Okay. You know, so you mentioned Pitino before. I think if as a coach, the regional I want to see, frankly, is the Duke St. John's game. Shire's one of the best young coaches I've ever seen in the game. Rick is he's a contemporary of mine. We've known each other since we're 14 years old. And my guy Izzo, Bob Hurley Sr., we're buddies. But now seeing young Danny at 53, what a matchup of coaches. I'm not sure I've ever seen a regional with better coaching.
Yeah. I I'm overwhelmed with how much fun this is gonna be to watch as a fan.
Yeah,
Not having a personal stake in at any of them, just
right.
watching great basketball. John Shire has defied the old cliche that you can't replace the legend. Of course, Coach K is branded forever as one of the greats of all time in any sport, in any level. And for John to be able to come in and seamlessly, it just speaks to what a great job Coach K did in preparing him
Yep.
and getting him ready. Um, Coach Pitino, full disclosure, I love him. I was at Kentucky his first 3 years. I was there as the director of marketing. Coach always led us in practice. I fondly remember great times hanging out, being around, listening to him, watching him when he was a younger coach. Nothing that he does surprises me about how successful he's been. That by far is the circle on the calendar moment in the tournament, right? Where you've got these two great legends. And quite frankly, I mean, I don't know how St. John's was a 5 seed. I'm not the only one that thought that.
It's crazy.
It's kind of shocking. And then if they have to play UConn a third time or a fourth time, that would be, I don't remember if it's a third time or a fourth time. That would be a third time,
It
I think.
it would be the fourth time.
Fourth, yeah. That'd be a shame, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, there
But
was very bad bracketing, I thought, by the
I think Duke is, if you've got a 4 player that can stretch and make Cameron Boozer guard on the perimeter, Coach Pitino is gonna go right after Boozer. He's done a really good job of staying out of foul trouble all year, but having Duke on my schedule and watching them all year, they are really, really good, and if anybody could absorb an injury like Caleb Foster, they certainly have proven that they can. Now, uh, young Boozer, twin Boozer, they're gonna go after him too. So it's gonna, let's see who the stripes are, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah,
it's going to be physical.
really hard games to officiate, I think, on the men's side. You're watching the 10 players, but then you got the 2 coaches on the sideline, which would be even more fun, I think. And Izzo, I think, that's gonna be great, but I wanna talk about this is like in this, I guess they're calling it the South region, but it should be called the Midwest region, Iowa, Nebraska. I mean, what a matchup of 2 teams that you never see in the tournament like this
Yeah.
in a long time. And then Freddie Hoiberg has done an incredible job. And Ben McCallum, who's a friend of the program since he was at Northwest Missouri,
Mhm.
Zach and I we found him and we love him. And he is one hell of a coach. And then for those 2 to match up, I think it's great. And then Illinois, again, just a tremendous program at what they've done. And Kelvin Sampson, another one. So we got, 4 people that are really coaching you, favorites of ours, and as people and as coaches. I think just an incredible thing. Kelvin Sampson justifies time, in my opinion. His team plays so hard. Any thoughts on those 4?
Yeah. So Ben McCullum, I learned about him because of you and coaching you. And then last year in the NCAA men's tournament, second round, I had them and
With Drake, yeah.
watching Bennett Sturts, so unassuming. What a great player. And Ben McCollum's system. I mean, it's repetition. It's being excellent in certain aspects of the game that you can control with your personnel and teaching, right? The,
Mhm.
the greatest definition or essence of true teaching is getting players to do things they don't think they could ever do. I mean, whoever thought
Right.
Iowa was going to be able to beat Florida when you stack up on paper and you look at them like that, you wouldn't think so. But thought the same thing last year in the NCAA tournament. Um, and then Kelvin Sampson, I had them in the tournament last year also.
Wow.
I mean, incredibly disciplined and hardworking as a 1 seed, and then this year being a 2 seed. Um, I'm Nebraska, when I think of that, I think of Fred Hoiberg coaching his son and watching the transformation of his son, and what a great story that has become. I mean,
Yep.
that's the heart of the country. That's the heartbeat of what the March Madness is all about, that
Yep.
watching this kid with his dad. I mean, it's great. It's so heartwarming. I'm hoping one day I get to have a moment like that with one of my boys that,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing. Um, but Brad Underwood, there he is, right?
It's
Um,
unbelievable.
had them in the tournament the last couple years, got to know Coach Underwood. Incredible respect from a distance. I think people think this a lot about coaches and those on TV. They see us in a certain light. They think they know you when you really don't know anything about them. And Brad Underwood was that for me. I thought one thing watching him, studying his teams, and then when I had a chance to talk to him, full transparency, I actually have Illinois coming out of this part of my bracket. Some of my bracket's still alive, some of it's not, but I do like I do like the way they play, the depth of their decision making offensively, and they're going to be a tough out. I just see them being a tough out in that bracket.
And full disclosure, being a great mom you are, one of our favorites is Tyler Underwood, his son, who's his
Yes,
offensive coordinator, who's absolutely incredible. I mean, you talk about a 29-year-old star of the future in college basketball. That's Tyler Underwood, in my opinion.
100%. I've heard him speak at one of
Yep,
your events too, the
yep,
one in Charlotte that you did with Larry Shiat,
yep.
and incredible. Just learned so many things from going to those events. That your stuff, Larry Shiat's event. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just I wish more people would go.
Who
They
would think? Who would think that in Champaign, Illinois, they would have a team of all Eastern Europeans, right? I mean, it's and a kid from Kansas City that Kansas didn't recruit, and Keaton Wagler, as amazing freshman lottery pick as he's going to be. Arizona, Arkansas, I think a great matchup. And Cal's team this year, they're good enough to go to Final Four.
Well, when you have Darius Acuff Jr. and you got a guy who just absolutely, you can see, loves hoops, loves it, loves competing, take on any challenge, perfect kind of guy to be in Cal's system, right? I think you don't have to overcomplicate what you're doing, and that doesn't mean that it's not complex. There are certain patterns and rhythms and repetition and things that you have to do over and over to be successful. It's not a lot of big secret. You can really keep it simple. And the way Coach Cal spaces the floor, opens up the floor, puts the ball in the right guy's hands, and has a rim presence. And Arizona is, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people are picking them. They are so talented. They're deep. Tommy Lloyd has a real chance here. I think it's got to be a relief that for him, even though he's probably sad about Gonzaga getting knocked out, that he didn't have to deal with that. And
Exactly.
I'm just Koa Pete is incredible, and they have a lot of talent. I mean, it was hard to pick the Big 12 Player of the Year out of that group, honestly.
Texas is obviously probably we act like they're their route of winning 3 games last week, beating NC State and then 2 other games, that they're like almost a mid-major the way they come. But it's the great state of Texas and one of the most funded programs in America. Sean
Yes.
Miller's done a terrific job developing this team. But one of our favorites here at Coaching You, just because of he's the essence of coaching, is Matt Painter. And so we love Matt Painter. We love him and his staff and what they do. So I just love that this region is going to come out with really good coaching. And I tell you that any team that comes out of any of these regions can win this thing. But I'm telling you, Matt Painter with the thing in Indianapolis, there's people sentimentally that are pulling for him, but
Hmm.
to get through Arkansas and Arizona is going to be a tough one for him.
So Matt Painter, I mean, I've had the luxury of having him in the men's tournaments
Yep.
multiple years, and that when coaches on the women's side ask me, what guys do you like to listen or learn from? It Matt Painter is the first name, and think about all the Hall of Famers we've just mentioned.
Yep.
Um, I, I think he's got incredible ability to change in game, the tweaks, the angles, the details, the small things that he can on the fly with his guys because they've gone over and over now. Of course, he's got one of the most experienced backcourts remaining in the NCAA tournament, and you're kind of pulling for a guy like Braden Smith
Yep.
and Lawyer to have an opportunity. They've had an opportunity. They have experience in the big game. I don't think they're going to get distracted by anything that comes with being this far with the spotlight on them, especially where they're playing. I'm kind of like sentimentally like where you are about Matt Painter. And if Matt Painter decides that he doesn't want to coach anymore, I'm voting for him for commissioner of basketball right now.
Ooh. He'll tell it like it is. We enjoyed that at Shy's thing last summer. Um, Now when you get down to the last thing, Michigan, Alabama, 2 of the best young coaches in the game, Dusty May and Nate Oates. I mean, what a terrific matchup of and similar but contrasting styles to a little bit, but I love both of the way they coach.
The size of Florida was a big topic of conversation, their front line, and then you look at Michigan's front line, and then you look at their guard play. Elliot Cadeau has exceeded expectation at
Yes,
I mean, I think, he looks like a small guy out there, but he's really compact and strong. He's had a heck of a year leading that team. But Luxembourg is amazing. He's a gamer, he's a winner, he wants the ball. You gotta have a guy like that. I just I don't know, I just feel like the size of Michigan and Dusty May done a fantastic job.
it's
Uh,
amazing.
he's I mean, I don't know, I just really love watching their team play. I love watching them compete, and, I had a chance to have Dusty May in the tournament too to get to know him. I mean, all the years that I spent in CBS on the men's tournament, I have learned from some of the great teachers and coaches in our
It's
game, and
unreal.
it's amazing how much knowledge just a few minutes of time or watching them in practice you can gain. It's helped me in all aspects of my life, quite honestly,
You
but
know,
it's been great.
it's interesting, he started, of course, as a manager at Indiana, but then when he went to work with Mike White as an assistant in Florida, they had really good staff, and then he takes a shot. And I remember when he went to Florida Atlantic as head coach, I said, people say, "Oh, that's a bad move." But he got his reps in as a head coach, took his team to the Final Four, which was incredible. And then, so you really get to see Nate Oates. He's a high school coach at Romulus High School next to the Detroit
Yeah.
airport. And then he goes to be Bobby Hurley's assistant at Buffalo and then gets the head coaching job. And then Greg Byrne hires him as the coach. And people say, "You're hired to coach at Buffalo to be the head coach of Alabama?" Crazy. What a coach he is. And
Brendan, like, when people talk about jobs, good jobs, bad jobs, back when you're referencing those guys, Dusty and Nate taking jobs that are, Power 5 jobs and taking the job before that, right? I mean, there were a lot of people that used to think those were bad jobs. I never really thought jumping up to be a head coach was always gonna be a bad job, but in today's climate, if you don't have money to buy players, it is a bad job,
exactly
okay?
right.
I mean,
Exactly
that's
right.
the first thing. Well, coaches are saying recruits ask, "Well, how much money are you gonna pay me?" Coaches are asking the same thing, "How much money do I have to buy players?" Until we figure out whatever our solution is to that, if there is one, to getting a sort of it under control with a cap. I'm not saying players shouldn't make money, but we should figure out something that works that makes it sustainable. And then, is it sustainable? Well, as long as people find money, yes, it's sustainable. Yes, it can be sustainable. But is that going to be, in the bigger picture, what do we want for the game? We talk about the women's game and we don't have a lot of parity. Well, maybe we don't want it. Is that gonna be good? And in the men's game, we get to this time of the year, we love the parody of the March Madness Cinderella opportunity. So, it all has to do with it comes down to the same thing.
Yeah.
It's about resource.
You know, I think the oldest coach in the men's side, I believe, is our friend Rick Barnes at Tennessee at 71 or 2, and Izzo's, I think, next after that. They're still
Pitino's
pretty
gotta be up there.
Rick I'm sorry, Rick is gonna be 74. He's gonna be pissed off that he's gonna I tell him that, but he's 73. You're absolutely right. But all the guys that are older are really good, and it's the same on the women's side. There's a value in that, the old school versus competency, knowledge, ability to teach, good experience, I call it, when you have a good experience with someone.
Sure.
And I love a young guy in TJ Ossibon going against Rick Barnes. You two disciplined teams, incredible defensive coaches, different styles of play. It's one of the best coaching groups. This whole tournament is oozing with tremendous coaches on the men's side in every one of the 16 teams. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before.
It's a collection of genius, hard work. It's everything you said. It's relationship building. And whether it's transactional, it's still going to be transformational, no matter what, how much time you spend with somebody. If you spend a year with somebody, it's going to be transformational, and you hope it's positive. But there's so much here to break down and to where our game could go or how it could be. We're getting there on the women's side too, Brendan. We're getting there where the amount of coaches that you're talking about, the young coaches with some of the
Yep.
old guard and the mix of the two, the Hall of Fame coaches we have on the women's side, and their ability and willingness to teach the young ones to bring them along. We're getting there. But certainly you're right about the men's tournament. That is
Yeah.
16 excellent teams, coaches, and really fun Sweet 16.
Well, our belief is if you have really good coaching, you're going to have better players. They're going to develop them better. And then that takes the whole game forward. And I think, I'm going to now step out for our women's side. The women's side has made advancements that are so much superior to the men's game. We have a men's mentality of they cannot adapt the game. And I've been advocating this for 8 or 10 years. And the women play 4 quarters. The men are the only league in the world that plays 2 halves.
Mhm.
Okay. The women, advance the ball up the court in the last minute of play. Men don't. So we see embarrassments by 2 seconds to go, and you can't set up a play in the front court, the men, where the women have progressed. So I think there's so much room to grow, but the men are afraid to grow the game, to change, where every one of your players at every school want to be a pro. So why wouldn't we change? That's my big thing for the men.
Sure.
Compliment the women for doing a good job of that.
Yeah, honestly, at the beginning when the women went 4 quarters, I thought it was a little window dressing to just change the look of our game, but it actually has benefited the game. The pace feels faster. You can finish a game in a 2-hour window. Even now, right now in the NCAA tournament, there are a couple of timeouts that are a little bit longer. It's because we've sold advertising. That's why the timeouts are longer. That's
Sure.
a good sign. We're
Yes.
still advancing the ball is really important. I'd still not sold on the 2 free throws after the 5th foul each quarter. I'd rather have the 1 and 1, because I think in a late game situation, we've seen a lot of players miss the front end, and then make the second. I like the drama of the 1 and 1 in a late game. I don't think we should ever make a rule that helps make the game easier for the officials. I think we should always build our rules about what is best for offense. And that's just the way I've always seen it. But yes, the advancing the ball would certainly have helped a lot of teams in the NCAA men's tournament this year, especially first and second rounds.
Yeah, it's just something that they just have to figure. And for all the international men's and women's players, when we send our under 18s to go play in a tournament anywhere in the world, they play 24-second clock, 8 seconds to get it across half court. We should adapt that too.
Well, the W has that, and
Yes,
high schools across the country need to put in a shot clock. That would help too.
100%. Yeah. So when you and I take over basketball, we're gonna, just like President Trump has his executive orders, you and I, Debbie and Brendan, are gonna have executive orders of how the game should be played. We could turn this into a Netflix deal, girl. We could do this for like 5 episodes, and I'd be selfishly stealing from your wonderful husband and your boys. But it's always an honor for us, Zach and I, to share time with you. You're always so gracious with your time and sharing because you love the game as much as we do, even more so. And so thank you as always.
Well, thank you. I love you. You're awesome. You have helped advance the women's game by everything you've done to help teach all of us the nuances and the advancements in the way the game is delivered and played. And I've learned a ton, and I'm here as a resource always to help advance basketball. So anyway, in any shape or form, any time of the day, any time of the year, I love being with you. So thank you.
One last thing I want to make sure I touch on. Your family's dear to me. And little Frankie, not big Frank, is really special. I had brother that passed at an early age that was, was challenged into things. And so, uh, as a mom, you're the essence of motherhood, of how much you love your kids, all of them. But I follow Frank since he was young, all the way now
Mhm.
through his life, and I love that.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about one of our sponsors that we've had for years, and Dr. Dish is just loves the game also, but how they've helped you in your
Yes.
drive for Special Olympics. And I'm Dick Vitale was my first boss, and Dickie V and I go back to at 21 years of age. He gave me my start in coaching, to going down and supporting his gala still. I still have to buy a car raffle for him every year. I never win it. I never win it, but I love Dickie V, and I love what you do for Special Olympics, which was always my thing that I, through my coaching pro career, I was always an advocate of working and volunteering for that. Talk about what you're doing with Special Olympics this year, which is special.
Well, thank you for giving me a few minutes on your podcast to share this, because this is
Always.
part of my platform for basketball. I do believe the good Lord put me in this position to be able to share my
Hmm.
platform in lots of different ways. And I have tried to use basketball to do that. So we have three boys, Joey, Frankie, Patrick. My middle son, Frankie, has Down syndrome. He's smart, handsome, athletic, fun, social. He just happens to have Down syndrome. It doesn't define who he is. He's a graduate of the Clemson Life program. Life is an acronym. Learning is for everyone. He currently is living independently with support in his own apartment at Clemson, working 2 jobs and having incredible, incredible success. My husband and I shake our head. My other boys, Joey and Patrick, we shake our head every day. We just can't believe what we've been able to witness and experience alongside Frankie. So, sports is our life, and Special Olympics was a huge part of giving Frankie the confidence that he needed to be able to live independently and do all the things that he's doing, to be responsible, accountable, to work 2 jobs. He's good for like a 4 or 5 hour shift. That's pretty good. And he
Better than
does
me.
really well. He does well. He does really well. So I came up with this crazy idea, and my idea has turned into 24 hours, nothing but net. It is a 24-hour free throw shooting marathon. I make 100 free throws on the top of every hour. I start at noon on a Saturday. I finish at noon on Sunday. It takes me about 15 minutes to make 100. We live stream it. And in 7 years, we have raised $1.4 million for Special Olympics. Now, Dr. Dish, Jefferson Mason was one of the first people I called when I came up with the idea. And I simply said to Jefferson, because I already had a dish, I already owned one, because I bought one. My husband actually bought it for me when I turned 50. I wanted a shooting machine. Most women want diamonds, pearls, a trip around the world. I wanted a Dr. Dish. Okay. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. So he got me one because I was going to use it for training, and I still do camps and clinics locally. And I have a basketball program called Team Best. And anyway, so I've got a dish. So I come up with this idea. I call Jefferson. I say, hey, this is what I want to do. Can you help me in any way? I'm using your machine to train. I'm training every day to get ready. Once the Final Four is over with, I am using the machine every day. And they supported me without even hesitating. So every year for 7 years, and we will again this year, we give away a home edition Dr. Dish shooting machine
Wow.
for someone who donates. So in 7 years, we have raised 1.4, but my free throw shooting average in 7 years is 93. And I am not getting younger. It's not getting easier. And
Jesus.
yes, I get AARP mail. So the fitness that comes along, and the strength, the mental, the physical, the emotional, all of it. I got all of it going. And it is the craziest damn thing you've ever heard. And when I tell people that I make 100, they say, you shoot 100. No, I make 100. And Kim Barnes-Arico, the head coach of Michigan, I said, hey,
Right.
on the off day, can I get in the facility and shoot? She's like, absolutely, because she knows exactly what I'm doing. She said,
Sure.
sure. I go in there, set it up, get 400 shots in, get, make 100 fast, make 100 with a figure 8 between my legs and shoot it. Make 100, it's
Jeez.
fitness, it's conditioning, it's a commitment, but 24 hours NBN.com. If every coach listening would give 1 penny to 24 hours NBN.com, it is $24. It goes right to help the athletes train, compete, organize, socialize, and it matters. And it's making a huge difference. And I'm so proud of it.
That's great.
I'm so proud that Frankie has provided that kind of inspiration for us to make a difference for other families.
He has. And should we tell what you're doing after the Final Four or no?
We can.
Yes, please. This is great. I love it.
So there are other states that are involved in trying to use 24 hours free throw shooting marathon, kind of like the polar plunge. Everybody does the polar plunge all across the country. Well, we're trying to make free throws a similar thing. So I got a call from Tim Martin, who is the CEO of Special Olympics Texas. Now, Texas is a huge state, right? They've got 4 giant cities that they're constantly running events. It's got a huge staff. They raise a ton of money. It's one of the biggest organizations, nonprofit in the state of Texas. And he says, hey, I love your idea. Do you mind if I build 4 custom trucks with your branding on it, with 4 baskets, 2 on each side, with 4 Dr. Dishes on the inside that we can roll up on a corporation or a fundraising event, put a mobile fundraising unit out there, raise money for Special Olympics. Do you mind if I use your brand? I was like, what? Yeah. So I said, well, can I borrow one of the trucks? Yeah, you can borrow it. So after the Final Four in Phoenix, I am planning to go to Texas, pick up the truck, drive it to Charleston. I will be posting along the way. I don't know what kind of shenanigans I'm going to get involved in on the interstate on the way, but I am planning on driving that mobile fundraising truck from San Antonio, Texas to Charleston, South Carolina, right after the Final Four. And I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, you're going to stop through as you come down through I-10, you're going to stop in Baton Rouge. We're going to go to Phil's Oyster House and have some great food and crawfish. and we're going to go by Kim Mulkey's house. And
I'm going to ask Coach Mulkey if I can park it in the driveway for overnight.
Yeah. That'll go over well in the neighborhood. Yeah, but if not, you park it in mine. I don't mind pissing my neighbors off. That'd be awesome. That'd be great. We're going to put something in the show notes about this. And I really urge everyone to make sure. Tell us the date when you're going to do this again, the 24 hours.
So it just so happens, Brendan, that it falls on Mother's Day again this weekend, May 9 and 10. Awesome. It is a wonderful way to share. I've been doing it in my driveway. And the first year we were in the gym. The next 6 years we were in the driveway because COVID put us in the driveway and we really liked it. And now, because we've gotten some credibility and some cachet behind over $1 million, I'm taking it. The mayor of Mount Pleasant has invited me to do it in a gym, and we are going to make a huge community event around it. If you're in the Charleston area, May 9 and 10, we'll be at the Town Hall Complex in the gym called the Debbie Antonelli Gymnasium, which we call the Deb. And I don't say that very often, but that's the way people around here locally know it. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have live music. We're going to have a lot of entertainment. And there's going to be ways for people to get involved. And you will be able to shoot some free throws on the truck if you want.
On the truck. That's good, Zach. We're going to put that in the show notes and stuff. And please, I encourage you to give. Please. Frankie's been an incredible inspiration. Deb, you're true servant leader. Thank you so much. And as always, this was one of my favorite episodes we'll do all year and stuff like that. Have a fun time in Sacramento, a great city with great people, and you're going to have a great time and a great 2 regionals out there.
Brendan, I love the time that we get to spend recording, but I love the hour before when we weren't.
Yeah, that's for our Netflix stuff. Okay. Or I might call Omaha Productions, actually. That might be better for Peyton and those boys. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.